Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Greenwich Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a virtual meeting being held on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. Before we begin, we will announce that we have 4 postponements. The first one is Greenwich Tree Conservancy for a final site plan and special permit for a change of use from a nonprofit religious to a nonprofit educational use at 376 Stanwich Road. The second one is 43 Old Post Road LLC for a final site plan and special permit at 43 Old Post Road to build a 6-unit residential development with 1 affordable unit. The next postponement, the third one, is 66 Cherry Valley LLC for a final site plan and special permit to demolish an existing 2-car garage, construct curb cut and drive, etc., increase the size of the existing cottage and construct additions to the existing garage and add an ADU. That's at 66 Cherry Valley Road. The final postponement is Luis Morocho at 19 Livingston Place for a final site plan and special permit to convert a single family to a 2-family at 19, as I said, at 19 Livingston in the R6 zone. Seated this evening, should we need an alternate, is Mary Jenkins. Our first item is a decision item, and that is Coleman Business Holdings LLC for a final site plan and special permit to convert an existing office use. And I'm going to describe it more in the application, the decision, so I will just move into that mode. So with that, I propose to give you the motion. As to the application of Coleman Business Holdings for a final site plan and special permit to convert an existing office space, a non-conforming use, into apartments, into another non-conforming use on a 0.43 acre property located at 23 Maple Avenue in the R20 zone. Whereas the proposed change of use requires a special permit approval under section 6141 of the zoning regulations, as it modifies a non-conforming use, and the application is also subject to 617 for site plan standards. Whereas the commission heard this item as a final site plan and special permit on June 9th, 2026. Whereas the site currently contains 3 apartments with a total of 7 bedrooms, 2 dental offices, and 13 parking spaces. Whereas the current uses and site plan configuration represent the outcome of litigation and subsequent settlement with the Planning and Zoning Commission approving a stipulation of settlement on June 20th, 1990, and a site plan on July 17th, 1990. Whereas the applicant now proposes to convert the 2 first-floor dental office spaces into residential units comprising a 1,583 square foot 3-bedroom unit, which replaces the southern dental office, and a 616 square foot 1-bedroom unit replacing the eastern dental office. Whereas no building expansion, site layout, landscaping, lighting, impervious surface, drainage, or grading work is proposed. Existing utility service and infrastructure are expected to be adequate. Whereas the application is entitled to a drainage exemption with no comments from DPW engineering. Whereas the application has no outstanding issues with DPW sewer, but their comments dated June 8th, 2026 must be addressed prior to sewer permit issuance. Whereas DPW Traffic has withdrawn its June 8th, 2026 comment that the proposed plan must be revised to include a minimum 5-foot ADA accessible sidewalk with granite curbing along the frontage, including across the driveway, the addition of a grass strip being preferred where possible. Whereas the ZEO advised on June 4th, 2026 that he had no comments. Whereas the stipulation of settlement noted that there would be 13 parking spaces to the rear of the building, with 1 more parking space in the front to be designated as walkway to access the rear of the building. Whereas the applicant proposes to restripe the parking behind the building to yield 14 spaces. Whereas the fire marshal commented on May 29th, 2026, providing recommended conditions of approval to be incorporated into the planning and zoning approval. Whereas conservation commented on June 4th, 2026. And conservation staff encouraged the applicant to explore opportunities to enhance the property's biodiversity and ecological value through the addition of native plantings. Even modest landscaping improvements could provide aesthetic benefits, support local wildlife, and help mitigate urban heat island effects, particularly through the planting of native shade trees where feasible. Conservation staff also recommend evaluating whether any existing impervious surfaces could be converted to permeable pavement or other pervious surface treatments. Additionally, there may be opportunities to incorporate energy-efficient features into the property. The applicant is encouraged to consider the feasibility of installing solar panels, as portions of the building appear to have a flat, sun-exposed roof area that may be suitable for solar energy generation. The addition of an electric vehicle charging station would also be a welcome enhancement, providing residents with convenient access to on-site vehicle charging infrastructure. Whereas the commission notes the proposed residential use could decrease the overall parking demand and trip generation. Whereas the commission further notes the residential conversion to be more aligned with the underlying R20 zone and consistent with the applicable special permit standards of Section 617 of the BZR. Whereas the commission finds the proposed change to residential units is not more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming dental office use. Therefore, be it resolved that this application is hereby approved with the following modifications. Other than the use change, all other conditions of the 1990 stipulation agreement are to remain in effect. There shall be no vehicular access either to or from the site directly to East Putnam Avenue. The retaining wall near East Putnam Avenue will be screened. The common driveway easement signed by Barbara Coleman, as per the Greenwich Land Records on 1/2/1990, will be retained and no other access to Maple Avenue will be permitted. The parking configuration to the rear of the building with one more parking space in the front to be designated as walkway to access the rear of the building will be retained. The applicant is to consider implementing conservation comments. All other outstanding departmental comments are to be addressed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Second.
Nick. Mr. Lowe did.
Mr. Lowe has seconded. On this application are seated McRae, Lowe, Yeski, Jones, and myself. Mr. McRae, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Lowe?
Aye.
Mr. Yeski?
Aye.
Madam Jones?
Aye.
Albin is also aye, and with that, the motion passes 5-0, and we move to our next item. Our next item is 129 Hamilton Avenue for a final site plan to modify an existing two-family residence to a three-family residence with a lower level converted to an assisted housing unit under Connecticut General Statute 830G on an 11,384 square foot parcel located at 129 Hamilton Avenue in the R6 zone. Mr. Tessie.
Madam Chair, I'm recused on this.
Thank you, ma'am. You are not right, Brooks. You were off. I always forget, but you were off.
I am not recused on this now.
Mr. Tessie, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I here with Mr. Pecora. Oh, there he is. Snuck up on the side on me. And we're here again before you in connection with the proposal as you described, Madam Chair. We both, meaning Mr. Pecora and I, listened to your discussions yesterday concerning the application. And we, since you have already heard the application previously, and we're back again, we can just go right to responding to the issues and questions the way we saw them.
That sounds great.
We're not, earlier today, Mr. Pecora sent a letter to Tracy via email. I don't know if that letter has been disseminated to the
From
commission
Mr. Romeo?
from Mr. Romeo
Yep, we've received it.
on behalf of Greenwich Communities in support of the application with supporting language in terms of his rationale. Obviously, we appreciate the support of Greenwich Communities to create this additional affordable unit for the town. Question came up regarding the calculations, and I know of the floor area at each level of the building, essentially. And Mr. Pecora did further consult with his architect on the dimensions and the thought process that went into each level. And perhaps, Joe, I know your speaker is off, but again, now it's on. It would be beneficial, since you spoke to the architect and I did not, to go over with the commission and literally floor by floor the rationale for the calculations as to usable, if you will, floor area, particularly, and also comparative floor areas when we get to the basement and second floor particularly.
Yeah, so the architect, just like he would do FAR calculations, you mean with the X's, the red X's on the interior, I just asked him to do the same thing for the what the tenant actually uses. I probably shouldn't have used the term usable square foot, because that's actually a term or a defined definition in the regs, of which it's not usable. It's the actual square footage that the tenant would actually walk around in. So the lower level would be its entirety, whereas the first floor would be the entire first floor less the common hallway and stairs, because that's a common stair / common hallway. And the same thing on the second floor, it was everything but the stairs leading up to their entry door. So hopefully that helps how he calculated it. He did
Mr.
have
Pecora, Mr.
Yes.
Pecora, the calculations, the floor plans that the architect did the calculations on, are they available? Because I
he
ran the
did-
numbers myself. I did calculations and I ran the numbers, and I'm not coming up with the same figures. So I'd like to
I'm not
kind of
sure what calculations you're doing.
like you said. Well, that's it. More importantly is how the calculations done by your architect.
Yeah, I mean, it's done by his computer. I could certainly have him do it. He didn't have time to do it last night when I asked him, but he can create the same kind of grid that he does for an FAR calculation to come up with that number, because it's not like
Okay, so then how were the numbers calculated? The ones that we see it. Didn't he do this already? You said he calculated livable area off the plans. Did he do that already, or is this something he hasn't done yet that he
No,
can give us?
he did it. He just didn't do it in an X format like you would for an FAR calculation. I could certainly have him do it to prove the numbers. I just he didn't.
Okay, I
have
think it's
time.
actually not so much proof of numbers, but more of actually, you're saying it's the livable area. We'd like to understand what that is. What are you considering as livable area for
Well,
each one of the units?
If you just take the attic floor plan.
I'm not going to take anything. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I
So
can get it
please-
for you,
Yeah,
Nick,
okay, because
I
then we
mean,
can understand
Commissioner.
graphically what's going on. What is calculated? As an example, there was a lot of questions, and you heard yesterday about the mechanical storage in the lower level, unit C.
Yes.
Is that included? Is that not? It's a mechanical for the whole building. We were confused. So if you
It's
can
actually
provide
not a
us that
mechanical for the whole building. It's a mechanical, you see the actual equipment in there. There's 3 hot water heaters for all 3 units. And you see 2 HVAC units, one for the basement level and one for the first floor. I typically would not have anyone use that space, but I'm adding it to the basement level to allow them to use it for storage because there is no other area for storage for that unit. So, I mean, if you want me to take out the space that the actual HVAC unit is in, I can certainly do that. We're not talking a lot of square footage here. So, but that would be used only for that unit and the landlord.
it's not to be partitioned off. So it's basically the shared mechanical space and storage for first floor and lower level. That's
No,
all.
because no tenant has access to normally no tenant is allowed access to the mechanical equipment. I usually just keep that locked.
Okay. But it's storage for the lower unit C.
It
As
would
well.
be, yes, it would be. And
But
there's
it's-
plenty of room in there, as you could see, because I had the architect come back and actually take measurements of everything and remeasure everything, so that it was properly placed and you could actually see how much space there is to store stuff.
Okay. So understanding the numbers that you've given us is livable area. If you can provide us with that graphic on the floor plans to show us what each number represents on the plan as livable area. That would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
A quick question,
Okay.
Mr. Pecora, if I may. You said the lower level C is to be treated in its entirety. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yeah, because the whole
And-
entirety of the floor plan is
Right.
used by that tenant.
Right. And then you said there's a common area that's not included in the upper 2 units. Is that correct?
Correct. So if you look at the first floor plan,
Yeah. No, let me get to my question, please. So, is that space on the upper 2 floors to be used? Is it common to the lower level C unit, or is it just common to the top 2 floors?
no, it's common to all 3 floors. It's
So,
a common hallway. So if you look at the front porch on the first floor plan, you walk into the main front door. And then if you went straight in, you could go to the door to lead you to the lower level, or you could make a right going into the first floor, or you could go up the stairs to the entry door to the second floor.
are those stairs included in the common area?
No, yeah, it's in the common area. It's not in the.
But is that common to the lower level?
It's all
stairs?
common, yeah. They all have access to those stairs.
When would the residents of lower level C use that stairway going up?
They wouldn't. Typically, they wouldn't. But
So
they
it's
use
not-
that
is that-
common hallway. They would use that common hallway.
To access their unit.
Correct.
Right, but they're
Correct.
not using those stairs, and we're including those stairs as part of the common area to all 3 units. Is that right?
No, I'm not. The square. I eliminated the square footage of what's common. That common area. I eliminated that from all 3 square footages.
We're talking about the stairway to the 3rd floor?
No, the second floor. The
No.
third floor is within
The
the
unit.
square footage of the
I-
second floor
No,
unit.
I apologize. I meant to the second floor. That was my fault.
Yeah, I eliminated that from the square footage of the second floor square footage because it's common space technically. The
I
the
think-
lights, the electric is all common. You can't charge that to a tenant.
But I'm just trying to understand how the stairway going up is common to the lower level.
Mr. Lowe, I
It's
think
not-
that's probably why we really need to see this P line
that's
drawing.
it'll be defined once I show it to you. So I have
Okay.
no problem
Well,
showing it.
Okay, all right, I just.
It's not that, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I just wanted to stop there because when you made that comment, I was confused. So we can just go ahead. I'm sorry for
No, it's fine because
interrupting
the
that
unit,
flow.
I mean, we're only talking about how you measure the size of the third floor, which is already a larger unit. So,
Well, we're also, excuse me, but we're also
ahead.
talking about how you measure each of these units.
no, I understand that. I'm just talking about that stairway.
Yeah.
That's all I was talking about. That's what I thought your point was. And it could be counted or not counted. As I said, that third floor unit happens to be a 2-level unit to begin with. So, and you're right. I mean, in terms of just logic and access, no one would, unless they're trying to work out and run up and down stairs. There's no reason why the units on the lower level or the first floor would be unit owners or unit tenants, I should say, would be utilizing that particular space because there's no access needed. Although, as Joe said, it's common utilities there, electric particularly. But I think that's
Okay, we'll look at it later.
Relatively
That's
minor
fine.
point.
We can go on. Thank you.
Okay, Nick has his hand up. Mr. McRae?
Yes, Mr. Pecora, the laundry, the washer and dryer, they're just out there in the middle of the family room of the lower level, unit C. They're not going to be
Yeah.
partitioned in a closet or anything like that.
Well, they're out there because the fire marshal didn't want them where they were, which was tucked in near the stairs. So I just moved them for the fire marshal's purposes, but most likely I would put them within a closet.
Okay. And getting back to the back egress door, we had talked about this before. I guess there was a typo on the original plan. It said it was going down. I guess it's my understanding these stairs go up. If that can be
Correct,
renoted,
yes.
notated on that, to have a clear understanding where this winds up.
Mhm.
Does it still say going
It,
up?
it has nothing at all, actually.
Yeah, it goes up. It goes up the stairs outside.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, so on this question of unit sizes, this mechanical room is shown on your plans as having 165 square feet, if you would confirm that when you have when you provide us information. It contains, from what you've said, 3 water heaters, 1 for each of the 3 units, and 2 HVAC units, 1 for the basement level and the other one for the main floor unit. If you did not include, and just so you can check my numbers, if you did not include the mechanical room in your calculations for the square footage of the basement unit, you would have 932 square feet. And I would ask you once again, when you're looking at square footage for a unit, that you consider habitable space. What is habitable? Not what is finished, what exists, but what is habitable. And then again, just to confirm from what we'd seen and what we commented on yesterday, the family room has no windows to the outside. You do have the legal egress from the bedroom, but neither the family room nor the kitchen have windows, correct? The
Correct.
bathroom does. Okay.
No, the bathroom does not.
Right. Then the kitchen, one of the 2 does. So the
No,
kitchen,
the floor plan that we have in front of us show no windows in kitchen, bath, family room.
okay,
or
I
the
thought
cat-
one of them did. Okay. So I will double check it, but just confirm where you have windows. Now, the other thing so is that it with the size and the square footage?
I think so.
I think so.
All right, so the other thing I wanted to ask you, going through this, you've gone to the trust sent it back to us, and said essentially, get P and Z to make a decision. If after we make a decision, and assuming we approved it, you did not get the financing from the trust, would you then do a set aside?
I don't know the
I
answer to that.
I think we have to, if I may interject a point or respond to your point. How we left off with the trust was there was no vote taken because they thought it was too premature to vote for basically two reasons. One was, and we still don't have today, the fire marshal will serve letter. And number two is they did not want to literally get involved with respect to the issue of comparability. They wanted,
That is not how their minutes are phrased.
well, that's what
Yeah, the
read
comparability was the exact
Comparability.
reason.
was they just specifically stated, and I'm saying that.
If I may,
let me
if
make-
I may,
go ahead.
their minutes state, Bill Finger requested that the project receive Planning and Zoning Commission approval before the trust considers it. So there's no mention of what they are considering or not, but that they sent it back to us for a decision. Therefore, my question, Mr. Tessie and
Yes.
Mr. Pecora, assuming that the Planning and Zoning Commission were to approve it, if the trust were to not provide the financing and we would have approved an 830G, what would you intend to do?
I don't know the answer to that.
No.
And the bottom line is that the trust was very clear. Whether they wrote it clearly or not is not my issue, but they did not want to decide on a comparability issue. They wanted you to determine what if it was comparable or not, and then they would decide whether they would approve it as a trust loan.
So,
And
Mr.
then they were
Pecora,
anticipating that it would come back to you.
Mr. Pecora, it has been very clear in the past that comparability is not a question that the trust deals with because it falls under our scope to date.
Which is
Petra-
exactly what I said, which is
No,
why they
but-
wanted you to make a determination on comparability.
And what is in their minutes is that they wish it to be decided by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And therefore, my question to you, if the trust were to decide not to provide you with financing, would you kindly advise when you come back for the next meeting what you would do with this? Would you then convert it to a set aside? Because we would be in the situation of having approved an 830G, and I would like to know what your intent is.
Our application is for an assisted housing.
Under the 830G statute.
Correct.
Right. So our question would be, if you were not to obtain, I know I keep repeating the question, that assistance, would you kindly, when you come back, because we're hoping you get the will serve letter, would you kindly and I was going to propose to the commission that we continue this application to allow you to get the will serve letter. Would you kindly let us know what your action plan would be if the trust did not, so that we know, because we would be approving it as an assisted contingent on that financing. Obviously, we could make it contingent, but I would like to know the answer to that question.
I have no problem when we come back letting you know what we decide
Okay.
after we hear from the trust.
No,
So
you would have to come back to us. You would have to tell us before we close it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to
Well-
make sure. And you won't have returned to the trust yet. So, okay.
My understanding is that you're gonna
Make a decision.
make a decision based on comparability, not necessarily the whole application.
You don't,
Mhm.
absolutely do not have any reason to have that belief. You have no reason. We have asked you comparability questions, but this is a zoning application and which is, it's under 830G. And for starters, we do not have all the health and safety information because we haven't received the will serve letter. So you don't know on what basis we're going to make a decision, but I would expect us to make a decision based on health and safety and other factors which are within our scope. And I would not focus on comparability, even though we have questioned you on how you do the numbers quite a bit. Thank you.
Just to interject one other point. There was not a consensus on the part of the, Mary's not here, right?
Mary is recused, and I would discourage her
understand.
from
I know.
representing
She
the
can, I
trust.
expect her to
It
speak.
doesn't matter whether or not there's a consensus. What we have in the public record in our material is the minutes of the Affordable Housing Trust Board meeting, and that is all I can rely on.
I'm just.
And I would
pointing out
not
to
call her
you-
Mary either. If I were you, I would
Well,
call
I
her.
apologize.
Thank you.
Ms. Jenkins. It's trying to be nice. But in any event,
It's considered not nice.
okay, well, then I apologize for not being nice.
Thank you.
So,
Okay, so
The point I wanted to make, just one point, that's all. That it certainly was our intention, because that was our understanding, and I understand what you're reading from the minutes, that when we obtained, if we obtain the will serve letter, I don't want to be presumptuous, we would forward that to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, because there were a number of members who felt it was premature, just reporting, for whatever it's worth, for them to consider our application without having obtained the will serve letter, an important component, a number of them thought. So we were going to share that letter, assuming we ever get it, with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And it was our understanding, apparently, if it's not correct, it's not correct. There's a dearth of any information in this regard. I get it in their minutes, but our intention was, after having this meeting with you, however it turned out, and we knew when we didn't have the letter, it was not going to be closed, the application, that we would submit that letter to the Housing Trust Fund and request, therefore, another meeting with them. Now, they'll make that decision. Mr. Finger and Ms. Jenkins will make that decision. But that was our belief of what the process would be like
Okay.
here.
All I've
all.
got
I'm
is the
just
legal,
reporting.
the formal minutes. And if we could go on to the next topic that appears in the minutes. In the minutes of the Housing Trust, it says that Ms. Jenkins noted that the definition of assisted housing is financial assistance for the construction or substantial rehabilitation of affordable housing, and not for units that already exist. So you will have another issue to deal with them on, because this topic is not up to us, because it is a financing question up to them, but you have to address that question. The next sentence is that Bill Finger requested that the project receive Planning and Zoning Commission approval before the trust considers it. And that's the sentence in the minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
So
I
they will
understand.
not consider it until we have decided it. And so therefore my question, kindly, before, when you come back on July 7th, kindly advise us. Okay, that's the last thing I've got as issues. You've got the will serve question. As far as I know, you don't have any other outstanding questions from staff or department. Tracy, is there anything else?
It was a no.
Okay, that was a
Sorry,
no.
I lost my mouse for a minute. No,
Okay,
that's
what
no.
about the commission? Any other comments or questions from you?
No.
All right, with that, I'm going to turn to public comment with everybody's agreement. Great, thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on the application at 129 129 Hamilton Avenue. Sam, Mr. Romeo, your hand keeps going up and down. See if you can grab him, Patrick, and get him into the meeting. Anybody else, anybody from the public who wishes to comment on 129 Hamilton Avenue to convert a 2-unit, well, ostensibly 2 units, Mr. Pecora, because the stove has been taken out, it has been inspected as being removed, to a 3-unit 830G. Mr. Romeo, if you would kindly go ahead. Anyone else, please raise your virtual hand.
Thank you.
Oh,
Hey,
you went away. You got
I'll
it
be
on
brief.
for a sec. No, your camera went on for a second. I could see you. And then you went away. Mr. Romeo, go ahead.
Yes,
Here you are.
I'm in favor of adding it any way we can to the town housing stock. I can't tell you how many calls I get every week from residents, and people that I've known for a long time, begging for a unit. And, you know, our waiting list is closed. We just opened it up for phase 4 at Armstrong Court, and it's closed already. We got all the applications in within a few days. So we're going to be opening that up, 44 more units. But I hear all kinds of hardship stories, people begging for an apartment, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. And if there's any way we can create a unit and work closer with all developments to provide more housing units in a town, I'm totally in support of it. And I'm sure the planning zoning also in support of creating as many units as we can. And Mr. McCora's project, if it meets the legal standard of especially the fire marshal and all of that, I say, please, let's add 1 more unit. Standard, it's going to be Section 8 anyway. And we do
No.
need a lot of Section 8s because
No, it's not going
people
to, they have not represented it as a Section 8 to us, so let's not go there.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's not, it could be, I guess.
Mr. Romeo, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I believe I can ask you this. You have come to P and Z on other occasions and spoken against 830Gs. Is there a reason that this one strikes you as particularly beneficial to the town as compared to
It's
some
in
of
a
the other
family,
ones?
yeah, it's in a family neighborhood. It's not going to be a tremendous impact on the traffic, as some of the 830Gs are massive and overbuilt for an area. So there's a host of reasons why I spoke against an 830G, but this particular case, it blends right into the community there, and I think that it wouldn't be a detriment to the community. It would only be a help. And it probably would get another, maybe, I don't know who, but it could be in the range of a town employee or someone working at a bank or a sales staff. But I think if we can add 1 more unit, it's 1 more that we didn't have. So I'm in favor of this application.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak about this application at 129 Hamilton Avenue? Kindly raise your virtual hand. All right, seeing no hands after, I have no further questions. I believe no one on the commission. Mr. Tessie, do you want to make any closing statement?
No, thank you for your
Okay.
time.
All right, so
Appreciate
you have the outstanding questions. We're waiting for the will serve. To clarify what units have what square footage. And what you would do if you did not get, would you remain in 830G with a set aside? And that we have it. And we will continue this. And because of your deadline, because you're out of time on this, we will see you on the 7th of July. Mr. Pecora?
Yeah, can I ask one question?
Sure, of course.
Are you allowed, if it were a set aside, to designate the unit in 80% SMI versus 60%?
What do we normally do with these, Patrick? We do the
So-
average. Hold on a second. What I remember us doing is, Patrick, we do the average, we do 70%.
No, I think it's either 60 or 80, I believe.
So
is
you pick one.
Yeah.
So you would, so talk to Patrick about that and you would pick one. I thought there was a time when we did an average, when there's only, because we've, you know, do you remember when we did the amnesty for the illegal, non-permitted three unit buildings? And they would become 830 Gs, and then there's some history of that. So I thought there had been times, but if Patrick is saying the applicant picks, you would go at 80 of SMI.
I'll have to go back and look at that record, Madam Chair, but
Yeah.
my recollection is that the blended number is when you have an odd number of units that collectively you have 70% affordability. So 60s and 80s and throughout, and you get close to that number. But I can certainly find out.
Okay, so Patrick will let you know, or Tracy will let you know. 'Cause-
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, both of you.
Mr. Tessie is on the next one.
Oh, too late. We'll have to nab him. Mr. Basili, we're about to open the public hearing. Are you good? And then you'll have to let Mr. Tessie back in.
Fine, I'm ready. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next application, so we now have the public hearing has now been opened. Hello, Mr. DeAndrea. This application is the Burning Tree Country Club for a final site plan and special permit to construct a fabric covered structure to store maintenance equipment on a 158 acre property at 120 Perkins Road in the RA2 zone. Mr. DeAndrea, Mr. Tessie, who is representing the applicant?
Mr. DeAndrea is taking the lead.
Okie dokie. Mr. DeAndrea?
Good afternoon, good evening to all. I am representing Burning Tree Country Club in regard to this application for special permit and site plan review of a fabric covered structure to be constructed within the existing recycling area on the westerly side of the Burning Tree property, which, as the chair said, was over 150 acres. This is located at the end, if you will, of the 11th hole, which puts us a par 4 and a par 5 away from the center of the property where the clubhouse is located. Currently, that is the area where the pool complex is being reconstructed. So it's a long distance from the center of the property. And it has been in operation as a recycling area since the club was constructed in two phases, somewhere in the vicinity of 66 to 68, if I'm not mistaken. The proposal is to construct this fabric covered structure, which is supported by a pipe framework on a concrete block foundation, large or jumbo concrete blocks that do not require any excavation into the ground. They sit on top of the ground. And the structure would measure approximately 62 by 45. The structure is being proposed on top of the recycling area, which is basically compacted earth, having been placed and manipulated for many years. Recently, we applied to the Wetlands Agency for approval to modify the area in the form of reducing its active size by installing a perimeter of stones in one area and a arborvitae hedge along the western side at the top of a steep slope leading down to a designated wetland. As of last weekend, those arborvitae, bushes, trees, shrubs, whatever you would term them now, may have been installed. I did provide a photo to staff this morning representing photos that were taken over the weekend. The two photos, number 2, show the arborvitae hedge installed. It's still ongoing to a certain extent, but the hedge is along the western side. And then photo number 1 is a view looking northwest into the open-ended structure. You can see the earth bottom and the equipment that's being stored there. You can see a aerator. You can see a small tractor. There's a water storage tank and a fan that's used periodically to clear out moist air. There's also some blowers that are used primarily in the fall to move leaves from the fairways. We did receive the approval from the Wetlands Agency. That was permit number 2026-18. In conjunction with that, there were comments from DPW relative to adding some additional information in the form of elevations of the rain garden that we proposed as part of the improvements in the at the facility. The rain garden was proposed to filter runoff from the dirt, if you will, surface of the recycling area. For clarification and confirmation, there is no lighting at the site, there is no electricity at the site, and there is no water at the site other than extending a hose into the area from the irrigation system in order to water the recently planted arborvitae trees. With me tonight, as you know, is John Tessie, who represents the club as a member and the attorney. Also with me is Steve Wickstrom, who is the golf course superintendent, and we asked him to be available this afternoon to give a little bit more from his standpoint as to why and how this structure was proposed, or why it is proposed. So Steve, if you're there, can you raise your hand and make a few comments?
Not seeing him.
Not seeing yet.
No, no hands up.
Yeah, he's
promoted, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Yeah, there he is.
all right. Hello, sir.
Hi, good evening.
So Steve's going to give us a little summary of what and why, what's proposed to be stored in the facility if it's approved, and why it's a very valuable component of his operation, maintaining a Burning Tree Golf Course.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. We have very limited space at our main maintenance facility. The reason I would like the extended storage is to store equipment that we don't use during the season, such as snow plows, leaf picking machines, some tractors, things that we don't want to leave out in the elements to age and get ruined in the sun, but we need them at the end of the year. So there would not be any in and out access during the day during any part of the regular season, but we would be removing that equipment and bringing it down to our main maintenance building during the fall and winter months. The reason that's important for us is when we're fully staffed during the season, it's very difficult to be organized around our shop with all the equipment that's not in use getting in the way.
Steve, if the application were to be approved, would you have an opinion as to whether or not the facility would in any way increase the amount of traffic to the site?
It would not increase the amount of traffic at all. Right now, we use that recycling area just for mower clippings, some branches, and other organic material, but it's never accessed during early mornings or evenings when noise restrictions are on. So it would really wouldn't increase it more than a couple times a year, just removing the snow plows and leaf collectors when we needed those for use.
So on a daily basis, you might generate clippings or trimmings of a tree or branch, and those might be collected and brought up to that area for further processing at a later date, but it's not necessarily every day.
No, not necessarily every day, but I have never received any complaints over the 12 years I've been here about using that recycling area for the purpose that we use it now. And this would not increase the amount of use into that area.
Question for you, Mr. Wickstrom. The commissioners raised, we're wondering why the the club had chosen to do a temporary fabric structure for something that it sounded like they would need in the long term. And they were asking that at the briefing yesterday. Is there a particular reason? Might you eventually go to a permanent structure? Why did you use fabric and not something permanent?
So it is advertised to be long lasting and durable. The company that I purchased it from is out of Florida, where they claim that it's up to it can take on some type of hurricane wind, so it's pretty durable.
Oh, interesting.
Now it's hopefully we don't put that.
I
to
mean,
the
just
test
because
here.
you have it, I mean, my question would be, you have it on cement blocks.
Yes.
How would it hold in a hurricane wind?
Well, they're pretty large cement blocks.
But they're normal cinder blocks, right?
Tony, what would we call those?
Right, those are jumbo concrete blocks. They're 1 cubic yard of concrete. That's about 2,000 pounds. They measure
Okay.
3 feet by 6 feet by 18 inches.
So
But
what
I
a
could-
car, so less than a car, and a car blows away in a hurricane.
I think what we want to, I would add to what your question is, Madam Chair, is that one of the reasons that the permanent structure is proposed as it is because construction of a full-size building would have to most likely be larger. It would be much more expensive. It would engender, we think, a lot more activity, because if you build a complete building, you'd want to use it to its fullest. It would also require extensive excavation for foundation, being that this area was formed primarily as a recycling area for mulch and stockpile.
Got it.
You'd go way down to hit your solid ground. Lastly, there is no electricity or water, potable water to supply.
All right.
And the roadway system is not designed to handle concrete trucks.
Okay, I've got some more questions
Yes?
coming. The Conservation Department had some concerns about the building being open on the ends, the structure being open on the ends. Is there a way that it could be enclosed?
I'm having a hard time understanding why there would be concern from the conservation staff as to having the open-ended building, but
Yeah, so I assume you didn't see the comments. Okay, because they thought wildlife could get into the building. Okay, so I'm asking you the question, Mr.
Yes.
Wickstrom, I was really asking you, although, Mr. Wickstrom, would you all have considered it enclosing it at some point, since the question's been asked?
Well, the area is monitored. I'm sure I could
Okay.
see if the company has that option to enclose. One
All right.
end is enclosed and the other
Okay.
is open.
All right, with that, I'll leave you, Mr. Wickstrom, and let Mary Jenkins ask her questions. Ms. Jenkins, if you would proceed.
Yes, thank you for answering the traffic question, by the way. That was one of the issues I had about whether there would be more or less traffic up into that area. Two things, that from the photograph, the concrete blocks, are they actually in any way attached, or are they just, they're sitting there loose, if you will, 2,000 pounds loose?
right, there's a framework you can see on top of
Right.
you can see in photo number 1 on top of the blocks. There's
Right,
a nailer, if you will, a double plate, we call it, which is anchored to the blocks so that there's protection against the uplift of the structure. And then on top of this and other photos that we had previously provided, you saw the pipe framework, which is then anchored to the plates.
are the blocks actually attached to each other? Is there some form of
Yes, they're attached by virtue of the plate, which is
only the plate?
bolted into the blocks.
Okay. And my other question is, if this has been used for debris recycling in the past, where is that going?
It's staying there. The activity is not that extensive, and there are areas around the site which have space for stockpiling of branches until they're chipped, clippings until they're mixed with other mulch and compost material.
So that
As
would
I
be
said
like-
a moment ago, we did meet with wetland staff on site. Along the eastern side, there are trees that further, buffer, the course. For many of you who have played golf up there, you may not have even noticed that this area exists. I had that reaction for several years. You have to look back to see it. It's a relatively small area. But not to be repetitive, with the Wetlands Agency, we agreed to restrict, constrain, reduce the northerly extension of the area. And the south area is the remnants of an old mulch stockpile. So to the north of the old mulch stockpile is where Steve typically stockpiles the branches until they're chipped. So that's the best I can describe. We do have the plan that shows accurately, based on our field survey, the limits of the active area now.
Okay, so that in a sense, the debris is going to be external to your structure.
Yes.
Remain in the same area.
Yes, basically to the south and some to the east, which provides access around the eastern side.
And there will still be exterior area for the rain garden that's proposed to deal with.
The rain garden is along the eastern flank, and it's basically within the few trees that are located along that side. Transplanted trees, if you will, from the golf course operation. I guess maybe Steve can answer that, but if a tree is removed from one spot, they don't need it. It's a little unhealthy. It could be brought back up there and planted, but there are trees over there. The rain garden was chosen in an area where the natural flow path has been. To the east of the rain garden is a large ledge formation. It doesn't show in this photo. It did show in some photos that we provided to Wetlands for that purpose.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DeAndre.
Thank you.
The next questions come from Mr. McRae. Did you lower your hand?
No, but I do have a question, actually.
Okay, you had it up though, because
yeah,
people with their hands up. Okay.
Mr. DeAndre, did you say that was a full-size block, 2x2x6?
No, 3x18x6.
18.6. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So we're about 3,600 pounds. And this is coming from Florida. Was there a snow load rating with the structure?
I would have to look into that.
Okay. Mr. DeAndre, because of its curved shape, one side naturally seems to drain to the rain garden. Does the other side just drain to the wetland?
What I pointed out in our conversation with DPW in that regard is that the whole surface right now is permeable, if you will.
Okay.
So there's a small area to the west side, and then it filters down through remnants of mulch and heavy wild vegetation. So the answer is the general pattern is still to the east, and that's where the majority of the runoff goes through the rain garden, because that's where most of the unprotected dirt is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it'll settle in the rain garden. To the left side or west side of the structure, it's a smaller area. But you're correct, it's going to drain down the slope through the mulch and down the heavily vegetated slope and ultimately into the wetland that ultimately feeds into the brook.
Okay. Now, there's silt fences to the east of the rain garden and to the west of the structure, or the stones and the, I guess out there, arborvitae or whatever that is. Is that a silt fence a permanent thing, or is that just for construction?
Right now, the silt fence was just for the act of earth moving and control of it. Yes, but the key elements on the delineation are the arborvitae to the west and the stones to the north and the rain garden to the east. And practically speaking, Mr. McRae, is a significant ledge formation on the east.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Lowe?
Yes, Mr. DeAndre, I don't know whether you heard yesterday's session, but I asked the question concerning a statement in your June 16th letter to staff that, quote, on average, approximately 4 to 8 trips to the area are made by golf course employees using golf course equipment. I was curious what the frequency of these number of trips is. Are we talking about daily, weekly, seasonally? What is that 4 to 8 trips?
Steve can answer that a little better, but that was a discussion we had with him. Typically, like I said, if you're mowing, you may gather the mulch and you bring it up. So sometimes 4, sometimes 8, but that was the answer. Nothing more than 4 to 8. The only access
for what time period? Pardon?
Oh, daily.
Daily. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And that's in season, in golf season, as it were, right?
Right, Steve, could you add to that?
Yes.
More practically?
I mean, I don't
My-
think if there's a lot of snow on the ground, you're making these trips at all, right?
Am I being heard right now?
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
Oh, okay. On a daily basis, it's as little as 2 times, at maximum of 8. If we've had a lot of wind lately, so we're taking branches that are broken back into that area. In the winter time, I can't imagine we go up there once a month. So it could be 2 times a day up until possibly 8 times a day. On the weekend, we probably don't go in there at all.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Wells?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Mr. Giandria, concerned about, impact on the neighbors. I'm sure you've been up on the hill, or maybe Mr. Whitson. Can you see from the top of the hill there, neighboring homes on either side, either Perkins Lane or
Yes.
the Londonderry area?
Since I'm not a member of the club, I can state that when I was first called on this, it was in the late February, early March when we first saw it. And I will say that at that time with the tree, there were no leaves on the tree, so you could see over to Perkins Road. Yes. Today, you would not know that Perkins Road is there. So for a couple of weeks, if you will, months, if you 2 months of the winter, you can see from the top of the hill. The arborvitae, which grow very fast, are designed to further shield that in a matter of years. So the answer is you can see at times during the year over to Perkins Road. There are 3 homes proximate to view lines, if you will. I would say 72, 76, and possibly 80 might have a view during a couple of months of the year when truthfully there's no activity during those months.
And a rough estimate, how far are you from the property lines to those houses? Just roughly.
Based on the documentation that I provided, and I'll double check the scale here, the facility itself is probably closer to 200 feet from the actual boundary. Using GIS as a base, roughly, we have you got about 600 feet as the crow flies from the center of the area to the home at number 76 to the home at number 72. It's about the same.
Okay, thank you.
Between Mr. Wells, in between there's a ravine, if you will, a drop down to the water course area and the wetland, which is densely vegetated. Then it climbs steeply back up to the home sites at 72 and 76 Perkins.
Yeah, just 2 more questions. Just wanted to go back to the comment in terms of it working in Florida. I wonder if the Florida structures are enclosed, because it just surprised me. You're up on a hill, wind comes from the wrong direction right into that structure and, blows the whole thing off. Is there, you're very comfortable that that's not a risk?
We did take that into account, and the closed end with a vent faces the prevailing wind. So generally the wind is coming from the backside, and the backside is vented as well to let air flow through.
Okay. And last question, I think maybe it was Mr. Whitson mentioned there was a fan in there to create air circulation, but there's no electricity service. Would he have a battery on the fan?
So that
I mentioned the
fan's
fan, right? Yeah.
Sorry?
So that fan's purpose is to move air across greens. So we had in the past, we had a green that was in a difficult little microclimate. It was very hot and humid and enclosed by trees. So we used to bring it out there in July and August, and that really helps with the health of the greens. We've been able to get that green up to the quality that it can kind of make it through those months now, and we haven't used it in 2 years. So it's not meant to move.
How is it powered was the question.
Well, it's powered. There's electric out on specifically the 14th green. So there's electric.
How's it going to be powered in the structure?
It's not. It's just stored there because we
Okay.
don't want to throw it away.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Okay, so I don't know if you heard yesterday, I had a question. I know your wetlands permit requires you to sort of manage any, I guess, oil leaks or anything from any of the equipment. I know you're not storing pesticides, chemicals, fuel in here, but you will have equipment in there that will have fuel in there. And is there anything that you're sort of doing to kind of minimize any
One-
damage to the soil or anything? Yeah.
I will jump in ahead of Steve. Steve is well known for his ability to maintain his equipment in the main maintenance facility. So there's never any leaks of fuel or oil from those machines. How's that, Steve?
I'm not putting broken down machinery up there.
No, I'm not saying, but
No,
even a car in good running order can have,
I wasn't making light of it, but there's very little chance for that because of the way that machines are maintained. And that's one of the purposes to keep the main maintenance facility available for that seasonal maintenance so that we don't have to worry about those types of conditions. But it's a good question. I appreciate it.
It is a good question. It's not going to turn into a junkyard area.
I wasn't suggesting.
No, but it could. And we're
I
not
do,
gonna-
but
All we're saying is it happens. Happens.
So I just, wondered if there is sort of a plan to kind of either minimize aside from regular maintenance or put something down to or how you would sort of address that. So
I guess we could work with the wetlands department and see what would be appropriate for that.
Perhaps an absorbent blanket, if there is such a thing, or if you thought it was appropriate or necessary, you could apply that.
No.
Okay. Mr. Lowe?
Just
And so
a-
I guess the answer is that you will work with conservation and wetlands to ensure that there is no equipment leakage from
Correct.
oil leakage.
Just
Absolutely.
a follow on that. I am something very much other than an expert on fuel, but I know that manufacturers of certain equipment, mowers and the like, recommend that you do not leave gasoline. I think it's because of ethanol or whatever in the tank too long. So do you ever, if you're going to store equipment there, would it make sense to, or do you ever empty these machines of their gas entirely because they're then can become something known as bad gas when you're operating them? Is that even remote? Does that make any sense at all? I mean,
Well, you're absolutely correct. The two leaf collecting machines that we have that are rather large machines, you pull those with a tractor. So we empty those out before we store them for the year. So when we're done with leaf pickup at the end of the year, and those are the type of machines that will be stored in the structure, they are drained of all fuel. So anything that we and I can't. I know we have one tractor that is only used in the fall that I plan to put there, but other than that, I don't think that there's any machinery that needs fuel for us to position it up there. So there's no reason at all that we couldn't drain all.
right. That would seemingly mitigate any risk of.
No, I think that's a great idea.
All right. Anything else? Okay, we've got a topic that is not part of this application, but is something to do with the club uses that I'd like to put on the table before we're done discussing this. The commission discussed during the briefing, but did not vote on the view that the previous approval was for tennis, the last approval, and it was before there was pickleball, and it specified tennis, and the commission seemed to be inclined that the pickleball playing on site is inconsistent with the previous approval. Mr. Chesky and Mr. DeAndrea, I believe that Mr. LaRoe, to be confirmed by him now, that his recommendation is that this be pursued separate from this application, this concern, and that we ask both the First Selectman's office and Well, it's really the first selectman's office, but also the zoning enforcement officer to investigate the violation, the potential violation of the permit. And also that we would ask for a sound check to ensure that the pickleball is in compliance with the town noise ordinance. Now, this is not a part of this application, but we are essentially letting you know that there's been concern from neighbors who are able to hear the pickleball. Now, I don't know if that means that you're not in compliance with the town noise ordinance, but there you are. Patrick, you good? That's basically what you recommended, that we have it pursue a separate track, correct?
Separate being the violation versus the noise is, but
Both, that they are not part of this application or the use of the club for this application, because this is specifically the structure, but that we would say to you at this point, we would like you to investigate whether there is this pickleball activity, we see it as being in violation of our previous approval. And then separately, we are asking you to investigate the noise compliance.
correct. If you feel that this is a violation of the zoning approvals, then we will proceed with the violation request.
So
Now, if the applicant wants to leave this open to address it, that's a different matter, but I don't think the applicant is asking.
I don't see for a reason for that, but Mr. Tessie, Mr. DeAndrea, Mr. Wickstrom, I leave that to you. Does anybody on the commission disagree with that line of thinking? We are perceiving this as a zoning violation. Is that correct? Does anybody disagree with that? Ms. Jenkins?
Yeah, I don't disagree with it, Madam Chair. We received from Bianca the transcript, and it addresses specifically tennis and paddleball, but there is no mention of pickleball. And to the extent that raises different issues with the neighbors, I think it needs to be addressed separately.
All right, so we would ask that this be pursued separately, and that the zoning enforcement officer issue the notice of violation because the club is acting outside of its permit, out of its decision letter from us. And then separately, we will ask the first selectman's office at hours that pickleball is being played to agree and work with whomever to test the noise, because that will be a key concern for you to address the zoning violations. So we're just basically, I'm hearing no disagreement from anyone on the commission, so we would proceed on that basis. But again, discussing it with Patrick yesterday, you are here for a structure, and we're separating that in part because it seems like you need this. I know, Mr. Wickstrom, you've probably learned that the road gets a little rougher when you do something and then apply. So now you know that. So
I took some bad advice and I was naive on the subject.
Yeah. It's just, it isn't that we mean to be so hard on people. It's also that if you don't rein it in, a lot of people just, they just do it and there it is. So, and you know that because you have the same issue running the club. I mean, humans are humans and they do it. A lot of times people ask later. So there we are. So going back to this application before us.
Well, sorry,
yeah,
I don't mean
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you, but
I was just going
may I
to
respond to the,
yeah, of course.
Just briefly, we certainly take the noise issue and the use issue seriously at Berkeley. Just so you know, I've been speaking to the tennis pro, and we're working on getting a professional sound engineer in. We're well aware where the closest property line is. Patrick mentioned that during the staff briefing to find that out. It's pretty easy from the GIS. We believe there's only one adjoining property owner. The most proximate that would be, I don't know if it's a stupid pun anyway, within shouting distance, so to speak. And we've worked with him in the past. I inquired of both the pro and actually Steve, who knows that specific property owner, and we haven't reached out to him yet. nor did we understand that he was objecting, but logically he would be the only one. So we're going to reach out to that.
It doesn't matter, Mr. Tessie.
No, it
if your
doesn't matter.
noise-
There's,
If your noise crosses the property line, boom, it doesn't matter if the guy's, if it's one person or 10. And
That's not my point. My
Okay.
point is I'm just telling you, we're taking it seriously.
great.
Okay, that we wanted to assure you of, for whatever it's worth, but I just wanted to point it out. And we'll look into sound attenuation irrespective of what the numbers are, but
Right.
the numbers are important because you have to get them in compliance with the noise ordinance.
Right. And actually,
Or
if
is-
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Please
Oh, go
finish.
ahead. No, the only other thing I was going to say is if there are more, because Mr. Yeski did make a point that historically the club has worked with all of its neighbors. And, there was no bad faith in starting pickleball, just like all other clubs. And I mean, I know there are 3 or 4 other clubs that are using tennis courts or paddle courts, and there were more before others obtained specific approvals for their pickleball. So it's something I think just that the clubs matriculated into. Burning Tree started about 9 years ago. That utilization, that's shortly after the approval for those specific hard courts, well before the tennis bubble application. So people, those are just facts, and those courts are also used sometimes a bit in connection with camps. I'm sure other other clubs do the same thing. So it's just something that kind of happened, and we all know the noise factor. So I just want to let you know we take it seriously. We'll look forward to working with Patrick and his team. And as I said, as soon as we get that sound attenuation and reach out to those who have the issue, we want to work with everyone. That's all we're saying. I'll leave it.
Okay, great. And then that's terrific. And Mr. Wells mentioned yesterday that he's played pickleball with a felt covered paddle and it wasn't bad at all. So that's something for you guys to explore.
Yeah, I went online myself to look
Oh,
at
good, great. Okay.
what it
Great.
means. I don't know. I'm not
Okay.
I'm not
Well,
a good pickle player, but
So
Fine.
any other questions from the commission on the subject of the application? Right. I will turn for public comment. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on this application at Burning Tree Country Club for an enclosed fabric structure to shelter their equipment? Anyone from the public, kindly raise your virtual hand. All right, seeing no raised hands, how would you all feel about closing this application? Or do you want to leave it open for any reason, or are you amenable to closing it? This would be the regular members.
I'm okay to close.
Okay to close?
Yeah.
All right. Seeing no objection to closing this application is hereby closed. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you. Good evening
Thank you.
or afternoon or both.
Okay, I can remove them now, right, Patrick?
I don't believe Mr. Tessie has any other business tonight, so.
All right, bye, Mr. Tessie.
Dinner. Bye. Bye.
All right, goodbye, Mr. Wickstrom. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
I don't think Mr. Wickstrom had a lot of fun. I'm sorry. Okie dokie. And with that, we go to our next application. Who's representing the applicant?
I believe it's Rachel Orsi.
All righty. And Mr. Finkbeiner. All right, I've got Mr. Finkbeiner.
I don't, is Mr. Finkbeiner on this?
He's got his hand up, so I'm assuming.
I'll leave that to Rachel to.
Well, okay, help, Patrick. There's like 4 people with their hands up. Who is Digit Shah?
I don't know, madam.
All right, where's
I think
Ms.
it's
Orsi?
Dipti Shah. Dipti.
I'm sorry, my glasses must be not clean. Dipti.
I think that
My
might be the
apologies.
architect's.
The architect, that's the
Yeah, it
architect.
is.
I apologize. So
Yes,
for this
that's the
application,
architect.
my apologies, Mr. Shah. And Mr. Finkbeiner, we don't know about. Aaron Hill is the applicant, and I'm not seeing Ms. Orsi.
No, I guess not. I'm sorry, it's not Essie Minor. I apologize. I thought
Okay,
It is fake
I'm
by
just gonna let everybody in and we're gonna sort it out when they get here. I'm so sorry, Ms. Shah.
Not a problem, Madam Chair. It's a
Okay.
pleasure to be on this meeting with you and the commission.
Okay, I can't get Mr. Finkbeiner in. I'm still trying. Hello, Ms.
he's
Hill.
been promoted. He's here. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right, so let me announce it now. Aaron Hill for a final site plan and special permit for the conversion of a single-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling on an undersized lot on a 6,250 square foot parcel at 23 Pembroke Road in the R6 zone. On this application are the regular members. Now my big question is, and who's representing the applicant? Mr. Finkbeiner, is that you? Okay,
Dipti Shaw is the architect who will make the presentation.
okay. Ms. Shaw, you're making the presentation. I don't think we have very many. Oh, yes, Mr. McRae, of course, you had a great many questions. Go ahead. So, Mr. McRae, you're going to lead on this.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Shaw. Do
Okay,
you need
good
sharing
afternoon.
permission?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the commission. We listened to the briefing yesterday, and I know Mr. McRae had questions on the existing drawings. Subsequently, we did update those drawings to show that all of those walls were existing walls and they should be part of the drawings because Jacqueline said that she had updated the application. So if you would like to look at those, or I'm happy to share my screen if I can or I need to. Also, we changed the drawing on architectural A101 to show the rhododendrons so that they are all in compliance with the landscape drawing. Mr. McRae, I hope that answers your questions on this application.
Mr. McRae?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much for the updates. I can see the difference between existing and proposed walls. That'll help you
Thank
long term
you.
as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
The back wall and side wall of the garage, that is the retaining wall for the slope above. So you're going to actually remove the existing stone wall that's out there, and that's going to be now the new retaining wall.
That is correct. It has been designed as a new retaining wall because it's part of the garage structure.
Okay. From the site plan, it looks like the stairs are remaining that go up into the backyard.
That is correct. And if anybody has driven by the property, you would see, number one, the front of the house is going to remain the same. It is still in keeping with the local landscape along that. The addition that we are proposing is so de minimis that no one's going to see any changes to this house. Also, that landscape that exists behind the wall has been there forever, and there are no proposed changes to it, and there's no reason any of it is going to be disturbed.
So essentially, and that was a question I had, I'm sorry, Mr. McRae, just to get this clear. One of the questions was the steep slope that the garage is going to be holding up, that will need no additional stabilization?
None whatsoever. There's no reason for it to be disturbed.
Okay. Because it is heavily planted. We can't see it from the street. So we had to ask that question. Anything else, Mr. McRae?
Yes, the stone wall to the, I guess it's the south of the stair, that's going to remain, but that kind of, as I see it on the site plan, creates a kind of an impingement of backing out of the garage. Had you considered straightening that wall out a little bit? It seems actually even the lower retaining wall, the side yard is to be removed.
Peter, would you like to answer that question?
Yes, please. Let me start with the side yard wall. That's where we're going to have two cars backing out of our garage, and we wanted to remove that obstacle, which is wholly within our land. So we're going to keep the very corner of it where it kind of supports the back wall, but otherwise we're going to remove that side wall. The The back wall, we'd like to keep in its present condition. There's a beautiful Japanese maple up on top of this 3-foot high wall. And we were just going to have all of our impacts downhill from the wall.
Okay. The drainage that goes around, on one side, I'm seeing it actually goes to subsurface. It's collecting the rainwater, that kind of thing. On the north side, it just goes into a new swale. I'm not too sure how DPW opined, but I guess there's a upper catch basin in the slope going that would drains to the swale and just drains to daylight. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a fair amount of hillside that comes down that side of the house, and we're basically continuing the existing flow on that side of the house.
Okay, so the location of that catch basin, the upper catch basin, will collect whatever flow you have coming down the hill to get it around the house.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Stone wall in the front yard. The Department of Public Works Traffic Division actually had talked about relocating that and moving that back in, or just literally removing it from the right of way. Is the intention to move it or just get rid of it?
We would like very much to keep it, depending on this commission.
We'd like
we
you to
are
try and
very
keep it.
aware that the neighborhood is sensitive to our streetscape. Truthfully, if Highway Department wants to make room for future sidewalks, these stone walls don't impinge on them because they're within the first foot of the right of way. So the town could do a future sidewalk on our side if they wanted to without running into these walls. I believe that was the source of their comment. But we'd like to keep the walls for the streetscape. There are flagstone steps within the right of way. We'll be more than happy to relocate those to private property. We understand that's not a town standard sidewalk, but we believe we have a good chance to have the stone walls remain with your support.
How does the rest of the commission feel about that? Because I started to say we support. I personally, as I mentioned yesterday, the tree is being saved, the town tree is being protected, and if the town tree is there, there's a streetward impingement in the right of way anyway, so there's really no benefit to removing the wall. Would the commission support an effort to retain those walls?
I think if Mr. Finkbeiner actually applied for a waiver, I would support the waiver, but he's going through the proper procedures on that.
Great. So we would support the waiver.
Great.
Got everybody good with that? Okay. Mr. Mecker, are you done?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good to go. It was more of, we actually kind of looked at this with the glass of how we see parking in the front yard. This is now have parking in the backyard. It works well. I think it's just the finer points, that front wall, the back wall, the garage, those kind of things I think have been addressed. So I think I'm pretty satisfied on this.
Okay, well, but just so everybody knows, we haven't received comments from sewer yet. So we really should. I suppose, Mr. LaRoe, we could technically close it and then just wait for the sewer comments if we think we'll have them in the next couple of weeks. But this is early days for this application, so we could also leave it open, whichever. Mr. Wells.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Want to respond to comments from EMAC. They noted that this was the shortest narrative that they'd ever seen. Understandably, Ms. Shaw, I don't think you've worked with Greenwich that much. So they sent a response. I don't know if you've had a chance to review it. We don't have to go through the details, but I would suggest another energy narrative needs to be submitted and needs to respond as thoroughly as possible to the questions and issues that are raised by EMAC. And I don't want to go through the long list because it's quite a long list, but I wonder if I could have your cooperation on that.
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Wells.
Okay.
So,
And the suggestion, just to go on, is similar property, similar size property at 19 Livingston, if we're allowed, maybe the staff could share that, and or also share we have draft in our on our website, draft examples of single or multifamily homes, what information is particularly useful, and that might be helpful to the applicant.
Certainly, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Wells. Mr. Lowe?
Yes, I don't know whether you were listening yesterday to the discussion and reference to concerns conservation had, particularly with regard to the impervious coverage and some of the issues associated with the proposed porous asphalt pavement. But are there opportunities you might recognize to reduce the impervious coverage, and perhaps you could comment on conservation's concern about the need for regular inspection and maintenance of the proposed materials?
We, if I may, we actually have a very tight site for even this much of improvements. I'm not quite sure how to respond. I was surprised the Conservation Commission through two applications ago were praising porous asphalt, and in our case they say it's not workable. So I'm somewhat confused by the standards that conservation is working with.
I can answer that question for you.
Please.
What I think the concern is, in a small multifamily, a small that has more than one person responsible, but not enough people responsible, that you have an association of some kind, who is going to be responsible for the maintenance? Because Mr. Finkbeiner, you and I go back far enough that I think you're one of the people who told me that porous asphalt doesn't work unless you maintain it. So what they're getting to is it has to be maintained. So I think that's the only topic you need to address. It has to be vacuumed, or it becomes impervious. That's what they're getting to.
I disagree with the vacuuming. It should not be regular maintenance. It is maintenance required when the whole thing comes up from leaves that have sat there for 3 years decaying, or people who put sand on it. But otherwise,
Mr. Finkbeiner,
is,
I'm telling
okay.
you, I'm not telling you to vacuum it, okay? I'm just telling you they want it to stay pervious. Not my job. Whatever you need to do, their concern, as we have heard it articulated, is everybody goes, oh, and by the way, septic systems, as you well know, fail for the same reason, because nobody takes care of them. So there you go. So yes, just make sure you address that. Thank you, Ms. Hill. I knew you got it.
And there should be an attendant inspection schedule preceding that need for, preceding any maintenance that's required.
It's already in place, the schedule.
Great.
Okay, they obviously did not see it since they're asking about it, but that is their issue. They got concerned about what happens. Mr. Lowe, anything else?
Well, did we get any kind of confirmation on tree removal? Have we gotten that settled?
Ms. Shaw? Mr. Finkbeiner?
Peter, would you like to address that?
I'm sorry, what is the question on the tree removal?
Well, I was asking, actually, I was asking my fellow commissioners and staff, did we get any confirmation concerning the proposed tree removal? Patrick or Tracy or?
Nothing new. I think what the commission's asking for is the firm numbers of actual trees that are going to be felled, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Hold on a second.
Do we have an updated number, or do we have a real number?
Mr. LaRoe, this is Michael Finkbeiner. There are 4 trees that impinge upon the building space, and at most, those 4 trees that are leaning into the building envelope need to be removed because they represent a danger to the new structure.
Okay. Can we get that marked up on a tree protection plan or a
Yes.
soil erosion plan? Okay, perfect. I think that's what the commission's asking for.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yep, no, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so trees. All right, any other questions from the commission? All right, anybody from the public wish to speak on this application, kindly raise your virtual hand. Seeing no raised hands, given the open issues, and again, the sewer department was unable to provide comments, so we have that. The energy narrative is requested by Arn, addressing the conservation concerns, the tree removal. Yes, Ms. Hill.
Hello. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for all of what you all do every day. I find this so impressive. My question is, I didn't think that the sewer was something that's outstanding, so I just want to make sure I give Peter a chance to confirm.
It says in our material that DPW's sewer division is unable to provide official comments prior to the hearing. There are informal comments that they do not anticipate anything being heavily required from their division for this application. They note the applicant already did a CCTV inspection of the sewer lateral, and sewer provided comments on the work required from that effort. As standard protocol, the applicant will have to coordinate with the sewer division and obtain the necessary permits. We normally wait until they comment, just in case. There are a couple of people from home. You've got pending items anyway. We could close it normally and then just wait to hear from them before we decide it. But given the fact that we'd asked you for some other things, I'm hoping that the sewer department will have a chance to comment in the next 2 weeks.
The sewer comment section would trigger the acknowledgement letter as well, which is a critical thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was hoping for the finish line today, everybody, but you're telling me that it's not realistic. I understand. Thank you for explaining that to me.
And actually, you're in good shape because this is your first, I mean, this is pretty good. You've got some open items, and hopefully, if the sewer department acts and Mr. Finkbeiner is able to address some of the other issues, and Ms. Shah with the tree removal, just mark it. Conservation did keep saying that they had good concerns. I'm just digressing back to the steep slope. Ms. Shah, I think in the narrative to just say that when you guys come back, just make sure that it's on the record what you've said, that you find the slopes to be well stabilized from all the existing planting. And I think with that, we're good to continue.
And that the fencing, the appropriate protective fencing be in place, right?
Oh, yeah. And that gives Mr. Finkbeiner time to get the waiver on the removing that rock wall. That's the other good thing, Ms. Hill, is to save that rock wall, because what I was asking yesterday is I was frustrated that we would save the tree in front of it and then take out the wall. And DPW can't work in the right of way.
Right.
Anyway, so it seemed like they could wait for a future date, and they have accommodated the waivers a couple of times in the past. So let's see if they'll do it this time.
Understood. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you when you come back, hopefully soon. Yeah, I'm not sure. Gets to be tough. I know there's just so many requirements nowadays. All right. Okay. And with that, we now turn to our dearly beloved staff. Dearly beloved.
What happened to
Luis Morocho
yeah,
and
Livingston?
Cherry Valley both postponed.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, it's all right. Morocho postponed at like 9 o'clock this morning from Patrick, and I missed it till late in the day myself, because you know how all those emails start coming in. Okay.
All righty. Thank you.
Application number 9 is from the Planning and Zoning Department for a zoning text amendment to amend section 6.5. Well, Tracy and Patrick are going to read it, but it's to comply with the special session Public Act 25-1, which was adopted in I thought it was November 2025. Tracy's sure to correct me. October 2025, and you all have had a chance to review the text. Ms. Jenkins has sent in her review of the Scriveners. Thank you, Ms. Jenkins, because you knew what I was doing since yesterday. So with that, we turn it over to the planning and zoning staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. This is, as Madam Chair already explained, a zoning text amendment in compliance with the Public Act, Special Section Public Act 25-1, which was signed, I believe, in October. I think the effective date might have been November, but I will double check. But I'm pretty sure it's October was the approval. It
was October.
It was October. Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, yeah, of course, she would be right.
It requires, well, it's a number of things, but essentially it's a housing bill to encourage housing in the state of Connecticut. One of those things is as of right developments of less than 9 units in commercial zones. 9 units or less, excuse me. Actually, I'll correct that one more time.
It's 2 to 9.
It's 2 to 9 units, and I should keep saying it that way and not less than. 2 to 9 units are as of right, subject to something called summary review, which is a new-ish term regarding essentially it is a zoning or site plan approval with some provisions to look at traffic and parking as an offsite impact. And no public hearing would be required or can be required in these applications if that's all it is, if it's a purely residential project with 2 to 9 units in it. So that requires a little bit of amendment to the definition of our regulations, our site plan requirements of what requires going to the commission for site plan approval. Also our special permit standards regarding what comes in as a special permit. We would not be allowed anymore, so to speak, to take a special permit for a building over volume that is 2 to 9 units. So we had to make sure that we had that corrected in the regulations. And so those are the first set of amendments. The second set of amendments are related to parking minimums for projects of 16 or less units. The state has removed parking minimums for projects of 16 units or less. There is no parking minimum for units of 16 or less. If there are 16 or more, or there are more than 16 units, the state has allowed municipalities to limit minimum parkings to 1 per single bedroom, 2 per 2-bedroom unit or larger, or with a parking assessment, whichever is the lowest number that's derived. So if there's an assessment that there is adequate parking on site or in the vicinity of the project, and that would necessitate less parking than the 1-to-1, 2-to-2 number that I mentioned, then the commission is obligated to accept that lower number of the two. That brings in the other sections of the regulation that needed to be amended. 6110, which is our housing in commercial zones. There was requirements for parking at a certain ratio that was not in compliance with that. We amended that. We also amended 6155, which is our residential parking standards, to be reflective of the state law. We've also lastly amended section 6139.1, which is our flood hazard overlay zone. There is also, for some reason, a discussion about modular housing. We note in there that modular housing is not allowed in the VE zones per that regulation. We've amended that now. It's still required to meet the same standards as housing, but it's not an explicitly prohibited construction type. So that is the summary of edits. And then I would ask the commission for comments and hopefully a vote this evening.
How do you want to handle the Scriveners that you received from Mary? It's all minor things. Do we need to go over it, or can we?
If we're just taking the Scriveners, the capitalization and some of the spelling,
exactly,
that's fine.
Basically what she
if
did.
there's any discussion about the content, then we would need to first I need to understand what that final draft would look like, and then we need to rewrite it and repost.
Mary, did you have anything? From what I looked through it quickly and I don't remember anything substantive.
Yeah, I mean, I think in most cases it was merely making it consistent with other provisions. I didn't see any of it as being substantive change, maybe clarification, and a lot of little punctuation thing. I think, Patrick, the one comment that I had made was with respect to the parking for residential developments of 16 or more, and I had put maximum, and you had said, asked me what I meant by that. Is that actually maximum permitted? I know it now says required, but isn't it really a maximum permitted parking for 16 or more?
It's the maximum that we can require.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the maximum we could require, right?
Okay, so maximum permitted maybe?
No, because we would allow more parking, we would permit more parking, but we cannot require it.
I think that's I probably poorly worded in my response back, but that's the issue, is that there's a minimum that the commission can mandate. There is not
Maximum that we can.
there's not a maximum that the commission has to accept or.
There's a maximum that we can mandate, and we can mandate no more than what is in the parking assessment, or one per one studio and 1 bedroom, and 2 for the 2-bedroom and up.
Does it make sense to then just delete the word required? And then it's parking for? Because you're basically saying it is possible that it would be more than.
Yes, it could be. I mean, if the applicant came in and offered a ton more parking, that would be fine. We
Yeah.
just can't require it.
Okay. I would just suggest taking out the word required in that heading then.
Right. Just to make it clear.
It would just say parking for residential units of 16 or more.
Well, first of all, this is a discussion that we have all the time when we're writing regulations about saying things in the affirmative or not. And so I'm sort of just laughing because everybody gets to this point after reading it a few times. So I'm not amused as much as I'm just pleased that we're all working the same way. The second thing is I just wanted to add that besides the Scribner errors we talked about, deletions, just outright striking is not something that we need to renotice. So
Okay.
All right. Okay.
In which case I would suggest we just strike the word required in the heading.
So just for everybody's clarity, we're talking about the word required in the proposed amendments for 6-155.
For above 16.
For above
For
16.
units above 16, right?
Yep.
Now it
Which
says
is-
required parking, but it's neither maximum nor required. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. With that, Brooks.
Yeah, I think I understand this to be the case, but just confirmation, Patrick,
Yes.
that the changes are all intended to comply with the new law. We don't create anything outside of what we need to abide by the new regulations. Is that correct?
Correct. We are not creating any additional restrictions or reviews other than what's mandated by the state act.
Great, thank you.
I will just use that as an opportunity to say that we did make some clarity decisions on some sections 613 and 6101 because editing it over and over again, it got more cumbersome and less cogent. So we took an opportunity here to make it a little bit more readable,
Better English.
better English. So I'm not going to suggest that it's best English, but it's certainly, I think, a little bit better than what the prior organization was. After it's just over time, too many cooks, and it gets
Yeah.
the messaging gets a little.
And they master the
garbled.
run-on sentence,
Yes.
or the run-on paragraph, as the case may be, or the run-on page.
Well, yeah. Without punctuation, sentences become paragraphs, right?
Yeah. Any other comments from the commission? All righty. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on the proposed amendments to the zoning regulations? Seeing no hands raised, no virtual hands, anybody? Okay. Seeing no hands raised, does anyone object to closing this application at this time?
I don't object. I just wanted to make one more point, and I didn't bring this up in our prior discussions. The commission, I think the commission understands this. They have the ability to set the effective date whenever you want. So you do not have to wait the mandatory 15 days that we do for site plan decisions. So again, if the
July
commission.
1.
So yeah, right, exactly. So we can set an effective date for text amendments to be tomorrow or in the future at any date that you all want. We will publish the notice as required, but again, the effective date is your setting. So,
And I would here suggest that when we set an effective date for any of this, that it be July 1, because
Perfect.
that is what the state law requires, that we make these changes by July 1. All righty. So with that, seeing no objections to closing this application is hereby closed, and we move on to the next one. The next application is a zoning map amendment that establishes a conservation and traffic mitigation district pursuant to the same special public act. And Patrick and Tracy are going to discuss that.
Yeah, while I
Not Tracy.
speak, do you mind putting up the map for the discussion? Thank you again, Commission. So this item again is a zoning map amendment to establish a conservation and traffic mitigation district. I'm going to use the acronym CTMD, and we probably all will after this point. Pursuant again to the same bill, Public Act 25-1 from the November special session of last year. This subject again to the new amended Connecticut general statutes. As background, 25-1 again removed local minimum parking for certain residential developments containing 16 or fewer units. And at the same time, the legislation authorized municipalities to establish a conservation and traffic mitigation district within it, which parking requirements may still be reviewed and imposed subject to specific statutory limitations. Under the law, the CTMD may encompass up to 4% of a municipality's land area per district and allows up to 2 districts. And those districts may be contiguous, which effectively permits a coverage of up to 8% of the town's land area. The map proposed here that we're showing in turquoise with a red boundary on it, it consists of about 2,095 acres representing roughly 7% of the town's total land area, and therefore below the contemplated maximum by the legislation. The proposed district contains, for reference, about 4,740 parcels, generally centered around East and West Putnam Avenue, Pembroke Road, River Road, and Cos Cob, and Sound Beach Avenue in Old Greenwich, including in those zones is all of the commercial districts around Route 1, a few residential zones, and particularly the R6 zone, conservation zoning. There's RAC7s and RC1 zones, and planned unit developments also along the corridor. The basis for this is tied directly to purposes identified in the statute. Many of these neighborhoods we would classify as being developed prior to the advent of the automobile, characterized by narrow roads, limited opportunities for future roadway expansion, flood-prone streets, constrained emergency access, and proximity to coastal resources. These are the same areas also we have documented experience that there are parking and traffic challenges. We have numerous studies in the review of special permits and site plans throughout the town and throughout these areas, that in downtown Greenwich, Byram, Glenville, Cos Cob, and Old Greenwich, we have identified parking shortages, traffic congestion, and circulation concerns. In addition, portions of these districts overlap with our existing post-road impact overlay zone, which you all may know as the volume requirement for special permit, but that was established with the specific idea that those volume decisions would imply that there's going to be a congestion or a traffic issue with the redevelopment and increased density, and therefore a special permit was going to be required. We believe that retaining an ability to evaluate parking on these types of units is important to ensuring that future development does not impede emergency access, interfere with evacuation routes, increase pressure on already constrained public parking resources, or create additional impacts to flood-prone or coastal areas. Um,
I,
Also, just lastly, as you all know, the call here for the commission is not only consistency with the new public act, but also that the proposal is not inconsistent with the town's plan of conservation development. And with that, we are happy to take any questions.
yesterday, Ms. Jenkins suggested expanding to include the area around the hospital. Might we do that at this time, or should we be considering getting this approved in time for July 1, and then we would further amend it?
So there's no impetus to have to do it by July 1. That is not part of the mandate. This is an add-on that the commission, any town can take up at any point in time. So
Except that if we don't have this sent in, we are unable to require parking in the smaller units,
right, but if we change any of the map tonight, we'd have to renotice per statute.
So we could accept this, send this in, and then amend it later.
Well, you could. We have not gotten our statutory comments back from Westcog and
Okay.
Deep.
So we
but
cannot approve that tonight.
well, we would be we haven't allowed those 30 and 35 days to expire.
Okay. Mary, you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
No, is it appropriate for me to raise it now or
yeah, what do we do?
If there's any suggested work that the commission has, and I've already posed it to you, but I'll ask it again. There's another question about how we want to design the map, and we will make those edits, and we'll incorporate any comments tonight and the direction that you give us after.
So you have to renotice it anyway, because you're waiting for Westcog. The change is relatively minor anyway in terms of Westcog, so you could just when after we've heard from Westcog, you could incorporate this change if everybody agrees to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So go ahead, Commissioner.
My point was particularly the area immediately adjacent to the hospital, particularly along Lower Lake Avenue, going into the traffic circle and attaching to the other Lake Avenue, which goes along the side of the hospital property. That area is very similar in terms of the Fourth Ward, in terms of having been developed in the 1880s, narrow streets, no parking, basically no ability. I'm concerned about access to the hospital, basically from that area or to that area, given the fact that those properties are very small. The streets were designed very similarly to the Fourth Ward. So to the extent that there is additional traffic or access issues with respect to Lower Lake Avenue, I'd suggest that the immediate area, again, just adjacent to the existing hospital area, be included in this traffic designation.
And I know we discussed in our work session, but I'll just say again, we absolutely can add and expand the area that we have. We do have a little bit of room before we reach that total 8%. If we can't do that, especially considering the point that Ms. Jenkins made about the hospital route up Deerfield and Lake, which is posted as the preferred route, we'll have to possibly adjust it, and I can certainly get input from you all about where that area can shrink to expand in that spot, or if there's any others that you all recommend.
Thank you, Patrick.
Okay. Mr. Wells.
Yeah, Pat, just a quick question. Yesterday we talked about having, two distinct districts or one. Are there any advantages or disadvantages of going one way or the other in your mind?
Yeah, thank you. That my question to the commission was, having read this over and over again the last couple of weeks, it seems to me that the intent is not to have a singular zone, but two zones that can be contiguous. They effectively would work as one. So my cautious reading of the state statute would be that we would draw a line somewhere to have two 4% districts. If you're asking me the negative of that, I think in our situation, because they're so contiguous, I don't necessarily see an issue. I think in the future commissions can move the dividing line between the districts, but also the districts based on that 4%, and they'd have some opportunity to capture it. If we had two farly distinct zones, we may not be able to capture some areas, and it may be harder to do that math because we don't have that contiguousness. So if that's even a word, but that would be the only obvious negative. I think to capture the spirit or the language of the law, I think we do need to have some dividing line here, probably through central Greenwich some point that breaks it into 4%.
Great, thank you.
Ms. Jenkins?
Yeah, and in fact, when I was reading through when I was doing my Scrivener's work, it specifically says that no such district shall be larger than 4%. So if we're going to have two contiguous 4%, we should make sure we note the boundary for that purpose.
Yep.
I do believe what we show here is for all intents and purposes an 8% district, but I don't think it'd be out of compliance if it had a dividing line and was substantially contiguous. So
yeah, I think it particularly needs the boundary because it says no such district should be more than 4%. So we're saying we've got 2 4% districts that are contiguous. So
and I'm open to all naming east, west, north, south, the Jenkins district versus the Yeski district, whatever we want. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Yeski.
Patrick, how much are we at in that 8% right now again?
We are Tracy, you can zoom into that.
7.5-ish.
We're at a little over 7% right now of the 8 total. And then again, the pie cutting is going to be important because neither one can be more than 4% when we divide this line.
Yeah, I get it. Do you have a B list of the next 0.5% by chance?
I don't have a B list because we really started off with when we were doing this exercise, we looked at the commercial and multifamily districts to see what that number was and how close we were to. I was using 8%, but the 2 4% numbers. Our commercial land zoning is much smaller than that. So we were able to quickly expand and get into the areas like the WB zones, the R6 zones, the planned unit development zones, and then also find connectors so that they are contiguous to get to some of the ancillary business districts, Old Greenwich, Glenville being the other one that is also an important area town with found congestion issues. Glenville particularly because they just received a CMAQ grant for their concerns over there, so it's consistent. But we certainly can capture other areas. I think Mary's point, Ms. Jenkins' point about the existing, the smaller developments around the hospital and the hospital route is valid. Any others that we think are important, we certainly can look at. And I don't know if there's any preference to that, but we can certainly try.
Okay, fantastic piece of work. I was just curious whether you were holding back and maybe had another idea other than Ms. Jenkins. Thank you.
Well, my guess is they're going to come up.
What's going to come up?
That we don't, we don't know.
Oh, the areas of concern. If we didn't capture them, yes, I think it probably
something will come up. We don't know what redevelopment proposals that's always the surprise. Wow, I never thought that was going to get redeveloped, and we'll have a little wiggle room. Brooks, go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the numbers right, it looks like we're under 7% in terms of our coverage. So we do have material upside.
I checked it, and we had been saying 7.5, and I was looking. So we have 91. It's 91 in total.
Yeah,
and we have a possibility. Yep.
Yeah, it's 6. It's actually closer to 6.8. Yep, that's right.
We have 91 million square feet that we have put into the study area. And we have a total of 108 million, call it, that we could do. So, we goofed on the numbers. Sorry, my bad.
I like what we've done here, though. First of all, it's really good work. And second of all, keeping a little bit in our back pocket because we probably will see as this develops kind of what we need to do.
Well, it's really, yes, because there are things that could happen. And if I could throw this out there, when we do the housing growth plan, we are going to have to think about this map. So it is very good to have a little wiggle room because this map will be impacted by that housing growth plan potentially. And the second thing is, if there are areas in town where you want to protect more, you want to have more, because remember, it's conservation and traffic. It opens up to having these conservation districts. While I have the floor, it was interesting, as you guys know, there's a planners listserv, and they're all talking, they all happen to be talking about it today. I did not read any of the emails, but I saw one sentence where a town is really stuck because all of their parcels are so big that they bump up against the 4% very quickly, which is interesting because we have so many small parcels that we are able to protect. I'm not sure how that happens to a town, but I thought it was a fascinating situation to be in. Not a happy one.
It talks about some of the difficulties, but these boundaries, I don't think they have to follow a ownership, to be honest, by the definition that they're called districts, and that can be amorphous. Generally speaking, as a planner, it's better to follow roads or parcels or existing zoning boundaries when physical objects in the world help first, and then secondary ones that are obvious, like the highway. Those are easy things to draw. And again, I don't think we have to be stuck to the property lines, but it does help to have a whole property in the zone and not have a split zone if we can avoid it.
Okay. Anybody mind if I ask for comment from the public? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this proposed conservation and traffic mitigation districts? Anybody from the public wish to comment on that? Kindly raise your virtual hand. We've had a quiet public tonight. Okay, so Patrick.
I think I should also add that this is for the commission to have control over talking about minimum parking numbers for less than 16 unit developments.
Yep, you said that.
All right, that it just it is not it's not a growth district, and it's not a district that is prohibiting anything. It's just that there will be that analysis allowed in those areas.
Yep. Therefore, I do really think that we should get this into place as soon as we can.
Yep.
Because we've already made the zoning changes, but since we haven't heard back from anybody, we have to hear back from WestCog. Are you all amenable to asking that we include more of the hospital area to the left of it going towards Lake? My eyes were struggling with exactly what that means because I couldn't quite read the Lake Avenue word, but I know it's there. So is everybody agreed or have any concerns with that?
No concerns.
Okay, Mr. Harris. Brooks?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And also I agree with your comment that we need to get this map in place as soon as possible, since we are going to have the regulation there as well.
Boom. Okay, so we're going to have this on our July 7th agenda. Is that by then will WestCog's 30 days have expired?
It may not, but we will work to. If that doesn't happen, we'll just pull it before the final agenda.
Okay, let's just get it. Let's do our bestest
But we'll work on it, and I don't want to delay any of the work that we're putting in.
I was happy to see that a lot of other towns were talking about it today because everybody's been silent. And I know that a couple of towns decided not to try, which baffled us because this is brilliant. Okay. All righty. I mean, I just can't imagine building on the post road and not having any required parking. All right. So we will leave this application open until we hear from everybody we need to hear from.
Yes.
Okay. And then we move on to the next application, which is also a zoning text amendment. And this is to amend the way the sign committee is, I'm just going to say it in shorthand, the sign committee is put together so that it isn't just ARC and we can always get a quorum. Patrick?
Yeah, this is again, the commission has appointed the ARC as a subcommittee of the commission. Of that subcommittee, there is another subcommittee, which is the sign committee. And not to say this any other way, except that it takes a lot of time to be on either of these boards. That the sign committee has had a trouble making a quorum, even though it's a subset of the ARC. And so we are looking to add members of the commission and the ARC to that subcommittee, which essentially is one overarching committee, if you think about it, and to participate as needed with those sign meetings. So,
And there's an important thing in the proposed wording that I think we have Patrick to thank for. If the committee wishes, it can delegate to Patrick.
Right.
So if it doesn't have a quorum and something goes wrong and we can't get the signs moved forward, 2 members of the committee can vote to delegate to staff. And that was not in the original concept we discussed. And I thought it was a brilliant change. That I think, Patrick, you made that change, right? It was brilliant because it means nobody's stuck with this. It's a way of easing the staff load in general. And if it turns out that it's easier in the long run to ask staff to look at certain things, they'll be able to, whereas they can't right now. Okay.
Right.
So on this one, does anybody have any comments or questions?
No.
Boom. Does anybody from the public have any questions on this change in the sign committee constitution? All right. Does anybody have any objection to closing this item at this time?
No.
And seeing no objection, this item is hereby closed. May I say, while we're still in the public hearing, that if we were to approve this, I have the full intention of nominating 2 people to this joint committee who will be tapped as necessary. And that I would, if we were to approve this tonight, I would also ask you to take a vote on that at that time. Don't look like that, Ann Knoll. Do not look surprised. All right. So with that, Mr. Basili, we're now closing the public hearing.
Oh, thank you. Sounds good.
Okay. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We now go to a discussion item. Is Ethan Black here or is someone?
Christine Miller is their representative tonight.
Okie dokie. So you're taking care of that. And there she is. Okay. This is a discussion item, a pre-application review. Ethan Black. This is for a proposed revision to their parking allocation to allow 16 people in the studio at one time and for removal of the required 20-minute gap between classes at 1381 East Putnam Avenue. And this is in the LB zone. And this is a Pilates studio. Ms. Miller, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, that's correct. So I believe what we're addressing here are 2 separate restrictions that limit us and the adjoining tenant in the same building to 12 parking spaces each. And then another restriction that requires us to have 20-minute gaps between our classes. So we're operating a Pilates studio where we have classes of 12 members at a time. They're 50-minute long classes. So if you look at our schedule online, it will look like they're booked back to back because they're hour blocks, but actually there's already a 10-minute block factored into that. That's between classes that we allow for everyone to get in and out and the instructors to clean the machinery and get ready for the next incoming class. So we kind of bake that into our schedule already. I believe there have been complaints from the other tenant, Estate Treasures next door, which is a consignment shop for antiques, and they seem to think that we're using too many spaces, or that we're not getting in and out quickly enough. We've taken several several steps to address the issue with them and with the landlord. Recently, we installed assigned parking signs for them, 8 of them, I believe, including one space that they're taking up with a large truck that is right in front of our front door. Or well, really, it's in front but across from the parking lot, so not directly in front, but like the other side. And which is a large truck that they're using for storage, and it has a flat tire, and it's been sitting there for several years, just kind of blocking one of our spaces. So including that one, the landlord installed signs to assign 8 spaces to them. And since then, we've told all of our customers not to park in their spaces. To our knowledge, they've been obeying that. So we were hoping that that would mitigate the issue, but it doesn't seem to have worked because we're still getting a lot of complaints. So what we're looking to do is see if we can reallocate the spaces based on the use of the 2 spaces. So I think that our use demands a little bit more parking than theirs, because from our observations, they seem to have a lot less customers coming in on a daily basis than we do. They're open less hours than we are. They're like 10 to 5. We are from anywhere from 6 in the morning until like 8 at night on weekdays, and then a little less than that on the weekends. So basically, we're looking for solutions to this situation, and those are the 2 options we came up with. So we would love to understand if you're open to that, or what hurdles we might have in getting that approved.
All righty. Anybody on the commission want to take a crack?
Ms. Miller.
Wait.
Yeah.
Nick,
Go ahead.
Mary
Go ahead.
Jenkins beat you.
That's fine.
No, Nick, you can go first. And we're probably thinking exactly the same thing. So please go ahead, Nick.
Ms. Miller, you said that the classes last 20 minutes or 50 minutes?
Yes.
And that means that at the end, you've got 10 minutes before the next class comes in.
That's correct.
Were you aware that actually that gap's supposed to be 20 minutes?
We are now. We were not originally. So the studio has changed ownership. We're a different franchisee than the ones that originally opened the studio in 2023. And I think we were not aware of these regulations when we bought the studio. So
okay, so understanding that
afterwards, though, we do now.
Understanding that, I think actually going back to the original decision with the 20-minute gap is something that I think actually you had just said, actually you're looking for solutions. That may be your solution, is following the decision that was made. We have experience in actually this kind of a personal service thing. And from that experience, understanding there is time for whoever's there to leave before the next people come in. And it solves a lot of your scheduling problems and your parking issues as well. You said there's only 12 people per class. So that's
yes.
If you have that 20 minutes, people have left, parking spaces are open, new class comes in, and there's your 12.
Yeah. So we have 12 people in the class plus 1 instructor, and then 1 person who's working at the front desk, a sales associate. And then there is a private training room where sometimes we schedule individual sessions, try to do that. And sometimes there's a gap in the afternoon where there are no classes for 1 or 2 hours. So we try to schedule them then, but also, so there are, that's how we're getting up to 16, is that sometimes there are like a few extra people.
Okay, well, I would strongly recommend that you actually look at the decision letter and start with that, because you seem to have exceeded what the decision letter allowed for originally. And going through what we understand, that decision letter is fine-tuned specifically for this type of use.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mary.
So Nick did raise at least 3/4 of what I was going to raise. I guess my concern is that you're asking to increase class size when you already have a parking issue. And to some extent, the 20-minute gap may eliminate that because, I mean, you've got people coming and going in a very tight time frame. So observing the 20-minute gap may get rid of some of your parking problems. But I think asking to increase the class size when you already have a parking issue is a little problematic. And as Nick said, the designation of class sizes and gaps between classes are a common way that the commission addresses potential issues. And you have someone sharing that parking space. And I think to the extent that you need to resolve the current situation, I'd suggest you stick with 12 in your class and the 20-minute gap and try it for a while and see if the issue goes away, and then come to us and demonstrate that you have the capacity, allowing for estate treasurers to also use the property to increase their class size. So I think you need to try it the way it's written now, see how it works out. If there's additional leeway there, then come back to us with a suggestion for larger class size.
Okay, Mr. Wells?
Yeah, two suggestions. One is when you come back, you indicated the landlord has increased your parking allocation from 12 to 16 and dropped the state treasurers from 12 to 8. When you come back, if you could give us written.
No can do. It's our requirement. He can't change it.
So to be fair,
Oh.
they never said they changed the allocation. They just
can't.
agreed to put up signs. So there was no agreement that any allocation, I know obviously they can't because it's your
They
ruling.
can't because the zoning approval is for 12 and 12, correct?
Okay.
Yes, understood.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Then the second question is, in terms of the gap, do some clients shower on your location after their session, or everyone just goes home?
No, there's no showers. There's no other, the only we have like a normal bathroom, just a toilet, sink, that kind of thing. There's no showers.
Okay, thank you.
So, Ms. Miller, just to back it up a second here. This commission went to school on Equinox and Soul Cycle and a couple of other places. And what we learned is that people get outside once they've been in class together for a long time and they talk. And they don't get into their cars and go away. And the reason we require the 20 minutes is because we studied the matter for a long time and we found out that's really pretty much the bare minimum. And we knew that at Soul Cycle, we had stood there and observed the fact that folks were staying out there for lots longer. And so there's not the parking turnover. The second thing is somewhere in your material, there's the argument that someone's making that estate treasurers doesn't really need 12 spaces, so let's change it. Estate treasurers is there today. As of right, another applicant, another retail operation could go in there tomorrow and they could be a slam dunk success. And they would need potentially more than 12 spaces. So the way we do the math is if this was a good, solid business that was attracting the predicted number of users, they would need the 12 spaces. So we look at the two operations and we say, this is a fair allocation given the square footage if they are running successful businesses. So I'm personally have a lot of doubts. You'd have to do a lot of convincing about why we would take estate treasurer's parking away from them. That you have an issue with their truck. We didn't tell them anything about that in the decision letter, so I would suggest you work with your landlord and estate treasurers to resolve that. But for me, it would take a lot of convincing that you should be allowed to use someone else's parking and reduce the gap and continue to use the gap. Obviously, if you have information, we're happy to hear it. But there you are.
Okay, that's understood. So if we were to, just so we're clear, I just wanted to make sure everyone understands, because I know they're using as evidence our schedule that's online that shows like our classes, but they're actually 15 minutes. So when we open them up, they would be spaced 10 minutes apart, but it would actually.
And we're not agreeing. I'm not agreeing with 10 minutes unless you can convince
Correct.
me that your folks gallop out of class and get into their cars. Because
yes.
And I have also heard, and I can't remember who told us this, that because people aren't allowed to be late, they come early to class. So you may have 12 people in one class and 12 people in the next class, and you still don't have, you got a parking problem because you got the next classes showing up before the first class has even left the building. That's what
I mean, they have a grace period, but yeah.
Okay, that's what I mean. And anecdotally, I mean, I don't know if it's anecdotally, I believe zoning enforcement told us that. So we know that they're coming in early and already taking up the spaces. So you're not hearing a lot of enthusiasm. Obviously, we don't make a decision now. We just give you input, and you would have to, if you really wanted to do this, you would have to convince us of all the stuff that we're wrong on everything we're saying to you. Mr. Lowe.
Yeah, it's 12 spaces and 20 minutes. That's the message that we are delivering.
Yep. There you go. Okay. And I'm sorry to disappoint Ms. Miller, but if we were new at this, I would be more open. But boy, Soul Cycle made a huge mess downtown. Patrick.
I would just to reiterate what Mr. Lowe said, that is the approval. That's not the recommendation that it's 12 and 20-minute gap.
That's what she knows that she's.
Yes, I understand that.
Does she have the decision
It's
letter?
not fungible.
Does she have the decision letter?
Yes, I believe I have the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can
And we're sorry if really, honestly, if we were new at this, we would feel differently. Patrick, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I just want to add, not that there's a record here, but for the discussion that it wasn't just the co-tenant. There is a letter from a resident of the building as well. So there is, and I know from talking to our zoning enforcement staff, there's been other phone calls about, whatever the frustration with trying to park on site, and the lack of parking has been a constant comment that we've gotten on this.
And Ms. Miller, in all honesty, you may want to consider just finding a location that's more appropriate for you.
That has been something that has been discussed. So
I mean, if you want to have bigger classes, there are other locations in town that would accommodate you better. This one is going to be problematic. The residents are complaining. The adjacent tenant is always going to complain. And and we've done this enough times that we're like,
understood. Okay.
And most of us, we go to gyms and we work out and we know about the parking problem. Equinox taught us a lot.
Yes, I understand. If you could, so I believe I have copies of the correct memos, but would you be able, just so I can show it to my group,
they'd be
send
happy
me
to do
exactly what we're subject to?
Yeah.
Because
That's not a problem. Happy to do it.
And I mean,
so
if you want to do it, understand that we are obliged by law to stay open-minded, but you are going to have to work to convince us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Understood.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
we just wanted
don't
to
go
really
away yet.
hear it from you because we
No
weren't the ones
problem.
who did the original application.
Don't
So
go
thank
away
you so
yet. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on this application? Kindly raise your virtual hand. Okie dokie. Where did the person go?
It was, I think, Rosie Solano who wanted to speak.
There she is. She raised her hand and it went away. I'm
Yeah,
trying
if
again.
anyone in the public wants to speak, just please click your virtual hand and leave it up.
Ms. Solano? No. Okay, I'm going to let you talk. Ma'am, if you would go ahead and unmute, we can hear you. We'll be able to hear you. Ms. Solano, did you change your mind about speaking? She may have just changed her mind.
Or maybe in preparation of the next app. Well, whatever.
No, we're done.
No, we have one more.
We do?
What is it?
Havemeyer, which I'm pretending doesn't exist.
Oh.
Okay, Ms. Solano is not. Okay. All righty, Ms. Solano, I will assume you're not wanting to speak. Okay, Ms. Miller, those are our comments. Best of luck. Again, we are obliged to be open-minded, but we also try to be honest.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so with that, we go to our next discussion item, which is 71 Havemeyer Lane, the Charleston, to change the landscape plan. That's going to be Mr. Brower.
Yes, and I believe Mr. Pop also, he's in attendance.
All righty. All righty. Hello, Mr. Brower and Mr. Pop. Okay, Mr. Brower, this is a discussion of 71 Havemeyer Lane, the Charleston, to revise the landscaping plan, which was approved as a stipulation of settlement.
Yes, good evening. Eric Brower on behalf of the applicant. And Patrick, is it possible for you to pull up the copy of the landscape plan, the latest one that I had forwarded to you? I think that'll be a good talking point. Okay, so this matter was previously discussed in January of this year, wherein a proposed plan had been submitted in response to concerns that the installation of landscaping on site did not comply with the approved landscape plan. So that was reviewed and discussed actually quite some length, was referred to the Conservation Commission staff, who had made lengthy comments. And then following that, there was 2 field inspections done by conservation staff, along with Matt Pop, our landscape architect, and a revised plan was prepared, and that's what is on the screen now. And then, actually, this is the further revised version. This one is very similar to what Conservation commented on, but now incorporates their recommendation that we eliminate the invasive barberry, and that is down in the lower right corner at the intersection of Millbank and Havemeyer Place. So that was their only outstanding comment from the latest revision. And with that, they had found that what was being proposed did in fact provide the biodiversity that was intended with the original plan. And so what this shows here is highlighted, and later we can look at the approved plan if we need to, but their concern, as was the commission's, is it was kind of a monoculture planting of arborvitaes, and it lacked the mid-story, understory, the pollinators, and the habitat. So if we look at the left side of the plan, you can see in green highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4 areas along that northern property line that have now been proposed to be underplanted and mid-planted, consistent with what was the diversity that was originally anticipated. The other area of concern was along Millbank, and again, mid-story and larger trees were missing, even though, again, there had been substantial additional plantings, but not of the original intent. So we see here 5 mid-story trees that are being planted, left corner, and then in the middle between the driveways, as well as 2 substantial trees that now create the trees along the streetscape that appears in other areas of Millbank Avenue. So so I think the intent here has been met, that the thrust of it being diversity and habitat. So I think that's what we took as our direction to address, and conservation staff agrees that intent has been met. And so we're looking for your feedback on the current proposal. And Matt Pop is here. He can answer obviously specific questions about what and why was chosen and what it does.
Eric, I would just like to, Matt Pop, landscape architect. I think you said there were 5 like understory trees along Millbank. There's actually 7.
Oh, good.
Understory. So there's 2 shade trees, the larger growing trees.
What are your species?
There's
Because I'm sorry, I missed this discussion yesterday. I had another meeting I had to go to.
There's
What
right
are
in
your
the
species
center.
on the understory?
Yeah, right in the center of the site, the two larger, symbols are oak trees. I think they're probably the best ones for wildlife, especially for migrating birds in May. And then right next to that, bordering that, there's 6 shad right there. So that's kind of the mid-story. And
Okay.
typically right now they would be having berries for birds. And then on the far left, there's a red bud over there. So there's a total of 7
Okay.
along that streetscape.
And they all
Thanks,
fit in there. The shad, all of the shads are going to fit at full growth.
Yes, we could squeeze them in, between I think there's some hydrangeas out there between the hydrangeas and the wall. We'll fit them in.
All right.
So.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
No.
All right, because they discussed this yesterday. All right. Any comments from the public? Please raise your virtual hand. Patrick, can we act on this?
Yes, we can.
All righty. And do we close the discussion item? No, right? Of this nature?
Well, I mean, I would take a motion and a vote if you want to
Yep, I will
discuss
do
it.
that.
But yeah, I don't think it's a closure issue. It's
Okay.
more of a discussion
Okay.
of the settlement.
So I'm gonna just throw a motion out there and see if I can get a second. I hereby move that the proposed revision to the landscaping plans, which were approved as part of the stipulation of settlement on the Charleston building, be hereby approved. Any other conditions remaining, any and all other conditions of the stipulation of settlement are to remain in place. Mr. Laurel.
I just want to confirm with Mr. Pop, the 6/3/26 is the last version, right? That's
current.
It's the one without the barberries, in the far bottom right.
with the note that says replace. Okay, got it. I just want to make sure that if I could suggest that it's the June 3rd, 26 revision.
Got it. So the motion is amended for June 3rd, the revisions contained in the landscape plans dated June 3rd, 2026.
June 3rd is correct.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All righty. Mr. Yeski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McRae?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Lowe?
Aye.
Albin is also aye, and with that, the motion passes 5-0. To help you with this, it was interesting. I had a separate conversation with Bill Rutherford, the chair of the Conservation Commission, and he started telling me that it's not bad to have a few arborvitae here and there because they are workhorses, which was John Conti's belief as well. The commission still believes that they tend to be, as are now the skip laurels, Mr. Pop. The people are going monoculture, have gone monoculture from one and to monoculture on the other. I saw someone just plant 15 skip laurels. I'm like, seriously? On the front of your, okay. So, but there it is. Hopefully you will add some more diversity with time to this plan.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Okay,
Thank
and
you.
so with that, may I move approval? I hereby move approval of the May 27, 2026 minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so Lowe has moved and Arn seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and with that, let's start with Burning Tree. As to the application of the Burning Tree Country Club for a final site plan and special permit to construct a fabric covered structure to store maintenance equipment on a 158-acre property at 120 Perkins Road in the AE and X flood and RA2 zones. Whereas the proposed improvements, I'm sorry, Mr. Brower, why do you have your hand up?
I think he's trying to get out.
I got him out. Okay, whereas the proposed improvements would further, he can't get out, I can't get him out. You'll have to try.
I'll keep working it.
Okay, whereas the proposed improvements would further exceed the volume threshold of 150,000 cubic feet and are subject to special permit review per section 6101 of the BZR. Whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission discussed the item as a pre-application on 6/9/26 and as a final site plan and special permit at a public hearing on 6/23/26. Whereas FAR would increase to 0.01 and 0.09 is allowed. Whereas gross floor area would increase to 66,749 square feet from 63,959 square feet. Whereas the applicant has not provided volume calculations or volumetric plans. Whereas there is an existing gravel drive to the area, the structure would be located near the current recycling area. The site of the storage structure has already been used for temporary stockpiling of mulch, grass clippings, and tree branches. The materials are processed for reuse throughout the course and removed from the site. The proposed storage structure would contain 2 plow blades, 4 snow blowers, 3 leaf collection machines, which are only used in fall, 2 backup spare mowers, leaf blowers, and aeration equipment, which is typically used only 2 times a year, and finally a spare tractor. Whereas the site contains wetlands and the IWWA issued permit 2026018 for the proposed structure. Whereas as part of the wetlands application, the applicant proposed an 150-foot row of green giant arborvitae at the top of the steep slope to the south of the flagged wetlands and a boulder demarcation line between the arborvitae and the storage structure. Whereas a rain garden is proposed to the south and east of the storage structure to meet the drainage manual requirements for proposed increase in runoff. Whereas DPW engineering issued comments dated 6/4/25 with revisions required prior to zoning and building permit. Whereas health issued comments dated 5/22/26, noting no issues with the proposal. Whereas the commission determined that, whereas the commission determined that ARC did not need to review the proposal as there is no lighting proposed and the structure is not visible from a public street. Whereas the ZEO issued comments dated 6/18/26 and had no issues. Whereas conservation issued comments dated 6/17/26 with a concern about the potential storage of chemicals, fuels, lubricants, fertilizer, pesticides, and other potentially harmful substances. They also requested that the applicant should be mindful of the potential for wildlife to enter and inhabit the space and recommended taking measures to discourage wildlife occupancy and ensure stored materials do not create hazards for wildlife or contribute to environmental contamination. Whereas the applicant has asserted no chemicals or fuel would be stored in the structure. Whereas the applicant has stated on the record that no additional vehicular traffic would utilize the site in the future. Whereas the commission finds the application consistent with section 615 and 617 of the BZR. Therefore, be it resolved that the subject application is hereby approved with the following conditions. The applicant is to provide an affidavit from its architect regarding the excess of volume over 150,000 cubic feet. Any lighting installed in future shall be reviewed by the ARC and subject to section 614 of the BZR. The applicant is to consider a fully enclosed structure to prevent wildlife intrusion as suggested by conservation. The applicant is work with wetlands and/or conservation to ensure there is no fuel or oil leakage from the stored equipment. The applicant is to address any other outstanding staff or departmental comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wells has seconded. Any discussion? I was typing as we, okie dokie. Mr. Yeski?
Aye.
Mr. McRae?
Aye.
Mr. Lowe?
Aye.
Did I get everybody?
No, me.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
And Albin is also aye. And with that, the motion passes 5-0. And we go to, I mean, Nick, you could do some of these because we're winging some of them. I hereby move approval of the proposed planning and zoning of planning and zoning, of the planning and zoning department's proposal for a zoning text amendment to amend section 65A, 613, 6101, 6110, 6139.1, and 6155 to comply with the Special Session Public Act 25-1 adopted in October of 25. In so doing, we note that there have no comments have been received from DEEP, although the allotted time has expired. Comments have been received from WestCog, who found the proposal consistent with the requirements of the statute. And finally, that this proposal is consistent with the Greenwich Plan of Conservation and Development from 2019. Did I hit it all? All right, do I have a second?
Oh, sorry. I think there was some suggested Scribner's error, those things.
And finally, that this application, thank you, application be amended to include the Scribner's errors that were discussed at the meeting and submitted by Ms. Jenkins. Scribner error corrections. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wells has seconded. Do we have discussion? No. Mr. Yeski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McRae?
Aye.
Mr. Wells?
Aye.
Mr. Lowe?
Aye.
And Albin is also aye. And with that, the motion passes 5-0. And finally, I hereby move approval of the Planning and Zoning Department's application for a text amendment to amend section 617, 6-167, the general sign standards, and 6-170, the design guidelines for signage, and 6171, sign review, administration, and enforcement, to create the Planning and Zoning Sign Subcommittee pursuant to section 622 of the town's building zone regulations and section 8.3 of the general statutes. In so doing, the commission notes that it has received comments of no intermunicipal impact and of minimal interest from WestCog. Did I say that right, Trace?
Yes, and of local interest.
And of local interest from WestCog, and that this proposal is consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development from the year 2019. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wells has seconded. Mr. Yeski, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wells, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. McRae, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Lowe?
Aye.
Albin is also aye, and with that, the motion passes 5-0. I hereby move the nomination of Mr. Nicholas McRae and Ms. Ann Noel Jones to be the P&Z representatives on the recently approved, what did we call it?
Planning and Zoning Sign Committee.
Planning and Zoning Sign Subcommittee. Do I have a second? Mr. Lowe has seconded. Mr. LaRoe, did you have a comment?
I think technically we need to vote to add it to the agenda, but I understand the sentiment. That's fine.
Okay, so, but it's good, right?
We could.
Okay,
we could
so
just
I need
vote,
to
vote for, I think we should just vote for the
let's vote
inclusion
for the
of
thing.
the.
Okay.
We're voting to include the vote for the members of
Motion
the.
to say and add to the agenda.
And add to the agenda. And add it to the agenda. All one sentence, hereby amended to add it to the agenda.
There you go.
All righty. Okay, thank you. Thanks for remembering that. All righty. And with that, Mr. McRae.
Aye.
We can't take a voice vote.
You can take a voice vote on this.
Yeah. Is everyone in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Enthusiastically.
Enthusiastically, because y'all were really worried. The
I
two
was
of them.
I was a little worried.
The two of them want to do it, and that's perfect.
Oh, God bless them.
Yeah. Because
happy you Peter for next if you
yeah.
I'm all taken. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so with that, folks,
that's your evening.
That's your evening, 6:49 p.m.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes,
bye-bye.
Records.
Good job.
Thanks
Great
all.
job.
Yeah.
Have a lovely evening.
And you all as well.